The magazine slipped from my trembling fingers and hit the floor with a dull thud. There she was, my sister Noelle, gracing the cover of Billboard, her perfectly styled hair and confident smile mocking me from the glossy page. The headline read, "Rising Stars' Soulful Compositions Take Industry by Storm." My compositions, my songs, my life's work, I'm June, and until 3 months ago, I thought I knew what betrayal felt like. I was wrong. Nothing could have prepared me for this moment. "June, you okay in there?" Jasmine's voice carried through my apartment door, followed by 3 sharp knocks. "I brought that chai you like." I couldn't move. My eyes remained fixed on the magazine, particularly on the pull quote where Noelle described her deeply personal songwriting process and how the lyrics to Midnight Rain came to her in a dream. Midnight Rain, the song I wrote the night our grandmother died. "June," Jasmine's voice grew concerned. "Don't make me use the spare key." "It's open," I managed to call out, my voice barely above a whisper. Jasmine burst in, 2 takeout cups in hand, but stopped dead when she saw me. "What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost." I pointed to the magazine. She set down the cups and picked it up, her eyes widening as she scanned the cover story. "Holy shit," she breathed. "Is this my music?" The words felt like glass in my throat. Every single song she's famous for, they're all mine. But how did she... Remember when she stayed with me during her quarter-life crisis last year? I let out a bitter laugh. She must have copied everything from my laptop while I was at work. All those nights I thought she was just being supportive, sitting in my home studio, listening to me play. That sneaky bit, don't. I held up my hand. She's still my sister. A sister who stole your life's work. Jasmine started pacing, her bracelets jangling with each aggressive step. "Have you called her?" My phone buzzed right then, as if on cue. Mom's name flashed across the screen. "June, have you seen the magazine? Your sister's on Billboard. Can you believe it? We had no idea she was even pursuing music. Why didn't you tell us she was so talented?" I gripped the phone tighter, watching Jasmine's face contort with anger as she heard my mother's excited voice through the speaker. "Mum, Oh, and she's performing on Good Morning America next week. We're all going to watch it together at the house. You'll come, right? She's singing that beautiful song about Grandma." My chest tightened. "I have to go, Mum. I'll call you back." I ended the call and sank onto my couch, where just last year Noelle and I had spent countless nights sharing wine and secrets. Or so I thought. "Play it," Jasmine said suddenly. "What?" "Play Midnight Rain, your version, right now." I moved to my keyboard, almost on autopilot, my fingers finding the familiar keys. The melody flowed through me, raw and real, each note carrying the weight of that rainy night when we lost Grandma. My voice cracked as I sang the first verse, but I pushed through. The clock strikes 12, and I'm still awake watching raindrops paint patterns of heartbreak on windows that witnessed your last goodbye, while thunder echoes the way that you died. I stopped abruptly as Jasmine thrust her phone in front of me. There was Noelle, in a sleek music video, singing my pain in a polished studio version. "The timing of the runs, the key changes, it's identical," Jasmine said, her voice hard. She didn't even try to hide it. She changed the arrangement slightly, added more pop elements. I stood up, walking to my window. The city stretched out below, indifferent to my world crumbling. But the core, the soul of it... "June," Jasmine's voice softened, "you have to do something." "Like what? Tell everyone my successful sister is a fraud. Tear apart our family. You know how Mum and Dad are. They'll never believe me over their precious firstborn." "So you're just going to let her get away with it?" I turned back to face her, something shifting inside me. The hurt was still there, but now it was crystallizing into something else, something stronger. "No," I said, picking up the magazine again. "But if I'm going to do this, I need to be smart about it. Noelle always said I was too naive, too trusting. Maybe it's time I proved her wrong." Jasmine's eyes lit up. "What are you thinking?" I traced my finger over Noelle's smiling face on the cover. I'm thinking it's time the music industry learned what real authenticity sounds like. You need to watch this, Jasmine said, barging into my apartment a week later. She pulled up a YouTube video on her tablet, Noel's interview on a popular music podcast. I don't think I can. Trust me, you need to see this part. The interviewer leaned forward, looking intently at my sister. Your songwriting process is fascinating. Tell us about how Crystal Heart came to be. I felt my stomach clench. Crystal Heart was the song I wrote after my first real heartbreak at 23. Well, Noelle smiled that practiced smile of hers. I actually wrote that one in my car. There's something about driving alone at night that just brings out the emotions, you know? Interesting, the interviewer said, because there's been some online speculation about similarities between your style and an underground artist from your hometown. The camera caught it, just for a split second. The flash of panic in Noelle's eyes before she recovered. Oh. Her laugh sounded forced. I hadn't heard about that. Jasmine paused the video. See, she's getting sloppy. People are starting to notice something's off. I opened my laptop, pulling up the article that had sparked the speculation. Someone had found an old video of me performing at a local coffee shop 2 years ago. The comments section was filling up with comparisons. My phone buzzed. A text from Trinity, a singer I'd met at various gigs around the city. Hey June, saw that video of you making rounds. We should talk. Coffee? 20 minutes later, I was sitting across from Trinity at our usual spot. She didn't waste time with small talk. I know those are your songs, she said, stirring her latte. I've watched you perform them for years. What are you going to do about it? I've been documenting everything, I replied. Screenshots of my original files, dates, recordings. I even found old emails where I sent demos to Noelle for feedback. Smart, Trinity nodded. But you need more than evidence. You need strategy. She pulled out her phone, showing me an Instagram post. Curtis Barnes, one of the biggest producers in the industry, had liked and commented on the coffee shop video. Curtis is already suspicious, Trinity continued. He's worked with Noelle on her album. Word is, he's been asking questions about her sudden songwriting talents. What are you suggesting? There's an industry showcase next month. Curtis always attends. I can get you a slot. My heart raced. Perform in front of Curtis Barnes. Perform your songs, the ones Noelle hasn't released yet. Trinity's eyes sparkled. Show him where the real talent comes from. Later that night, I sat at my piano, looking through my folder of unreleased songs. My fingers found the keys of Starlight Promises, a song Noelle hadn't stolen, probably because it was still unfinished when she snooped through my files. My phone rang. Mom again. June, why aren't you returning my calls? Noelle's been asking about you. She says you're not answering her messages either. I've been busy, Mom. Too busy for family. You missed the GMA viewing party. Noelle was magnificent. Even your father cried during Midnight Rain. I bit back a bitter laugh. Dad had cried the first time I played it for him too, back when it was still mine. Listen, honey, Mom continued. I know it might be hard seeing your sister succeed in the industry you loved so much, but... What do you mean loved? I still make music. Oh, sweetie, I just meant... Well, maybe it's time to focus on something more. Stable? Noelle's made it now. Isn't that enough for our family? I ended the call, hands shaking. Jasmine's words from earlier echoed in my head. She's getting sloppy. Opening my laptop, I started typing. To Amelia, Gibson, musicinsider.com. Subject, story lead, Noelle Warner's original compositions. I have information about the true source of Noelle Warner's songs. Evidence included. If you're interested in the real story, meet me at the Blue Note Cafe tomorrow at 2 p.m. A reliable source. I hit send before I could change my mind. My phone buzzed again. Trinity sending details about the showcase. Then another message popped up, this one from Noelle herself. Hey sis, miss you, been trying to reach you. I'm performing at Madison Square Garden next month, saved you a VIP ticket. Would mean the world to have you there. Love you. I stared at her message, remembering all the times she'd sat in my studio, pretending to be my biggest supporter while plotting to steal everything I'd created. Game on, sis, I whispered, closing my laptop. Let's see how well you perform when you run out of my songs to steal. The showcase was in 4 weeks. Time to finish Starlight Promises. And this time, I'd make sure everyone knew exactly who wrote it. The Blue Note Cafe buzzed with afternoon energy as I spotted Amelia Gibson at a corner table, her press badge partially hidden under her blazer. She looked up from her laptop as I approached. You must be my reliable source, she said, gesturing to the empty chair. I have to admit, your email caught my attention. Thanks for meeting me. I pulled out a USB drive. Everything you need is on here. Original recordings, timestamps, emails. Before we get to that, Amelia held up her hand. Tell me why you waited until now. Noelle's been performing these songs for months. I took a deep breath. Because I needed to be sure I could prove it. And because she's my sister. Amelia's eyebrows shot up. Now that's interesting. She leaned forward. Does Curtis Barnes know about this? Not yet, but the cafe door chimed, and my words died in my throat. Curtis himself walked in, heading straight for the counter. Amelia noticed my expression and turned. Speak of the devil, she murmured. He's been vocal about finding authentic new talent lately. Rumor has it he's not happy with Noelle's recent performances. As if hearing his name, Curtis glanced our way. His eyes narrowed slightly, recognition flickering across his face. He grabbed his coffee and walked over. You're the girl from that coffee shop video, he said, pointing at me. The one everyone's talking about. I'm June. Curtis Barnes, he said unnecessarily, pulling up a chair. Mind if I join? I've got some questions about your sound. Amelia closed her laptop, watching the interaction with keen interest. Funny thing, Curtis continued, I've been working with this new artist, and her style is remarkably similar to what I saw in your video. But here's what's interesting. Her newer songs don't quite hit the same way. Almost like she's run out of material, I finished, his eyes locked with mine. Exactly like that. My phone buzzed, a text from Trinity. Emergency. Call me now. Excuse me, I said, stepping away to call her. June? Trinity's voice was urgent. Noelle just announced she's premiering a new song at Madison Square Garden. She's calling it Starlight Promises. My blood ran cold. What? How did she? Your cloud storage. Check your login history. I pulled up the app with trembling fingers. There it was, a login from an unknown device 3 days ago. She's still accessing my files, I whispered. June, Curtis called from the table. Everything okay? I walked back, my mind racing. Mr. Barnes, Curtis, what would you say if I told you I could perform a brand new song at your showcase? One that might sound very familiar when Noelle performs it at Madison Square Garden next month. He sat back, a slow smile spreading across his face. I'd say that would be very interesting indeed. Amelia was already typing on her phone. The showcase is in 3 weeks. Noelle's concert is a week after that. Perfect timing, Curtis said. But June, you'll need to be ready. This industry can get ugly. I think my sister already showed me how ugly it can get. Later that evening, I sat at my piano, working on a new bridge for Starlight Promises, when my doorbell rang. My heart stopped when I saw Noelle through the peephole. June, open up. I know you're home. I can hear the piano. I cracked open the door. What do you want? Why are you avoiding me? And why were you talking to Curtis Barnes today? How do you... This industry is smaller than you think, sis. Her smile was tight. People talk. Like they're talking about where you get your songs. The smile vanished. Don't do this, June. You don't understand what's at stake. My songs are at stake. My work. My dreams. Your dreams? She laughed harshly. You were playing in coffee shops. I took these songs and made them matter. Get out. June, get out. I slammed the door, sliding down against it as her footsteps retreated. My phone lit up with a message from Curtis. Studio tomorrow, 10 a.m., let's make something they can't steal. Another text followed, this one from Amelia. Story runs next week, last chance to back out. And finally, one from Trinity. Showcase set list confirmed, you're closing the show. I walked back to my piano, fingers hovering over the keys. Noelle thought she could steal Starlight Promises. Fine, but this time I'd be ready. This time the whole industry would know who wrote it first. I began to play, but this time I changed everything. The key, the tempo, the arrangement. By the time Noelle heard my version, it would be too late to copy it. Let the games begin, sis. Curtis's studio felt like another world. All sleek surfaces and state-of-the-art equipment. He sat at the mixing board while I settled behind the piano. Show me what you've got, he said, hitting the record button. I closed my eyes and began playing the new version of Starlight Promises. The melody was darker now, more complex. When I finished, Curtis let out a low whistle. That's nothing like the demo on your cloud drive. You checked my cloud? Had to be sure. He spun his chair to face me. Your sister's people downloaded that version yesterday. I smiled. I know, that's why I changed it. Smart girl. He pressed the intercom. Ready to lay down the real version? 6 hours later, my throat was raw from singing, but we had something magical. Curtis played back the final mix, and I barely recognized my own voice. He'd transformed it into something powerful, undeniable. This is going to blow people's minds at the showcase, he said, saving the file to a secure drive. But we need to keep it under wraps until then. My phone buzzed, Jasmine sending a link to Amelia's article. It had just gone live. Rising Star's authenticity. Questioned, industry insiders raise concerns about source of hit songs. Here we go, I muttered, scanning the carefully worded piece. Amelia hadn't named me directly, but she'd included enough details to make the connection obvious. Curtis read over my shoulder. Your sister's team will be in damage control mode now. You ready for the fallout? As if on cue, my phone exploded with notifications. Mum calling, Dad texting, Noelle's manager leaving voicemails. June! Trinity burst into the studio. You need to see this. She held up her phone to show Noelle's Instagram live video. I've seen the article, Noelle was saying, tears in her eyes. And I want to address these hurtful accusations. My music comes from my heart, from my experiences. To suggest otherwise is it's just jealousy from people who wish they had what I've worked so hard for. The comment section flooded with support. We love you, Noelle. Don't let the haters win. Turn it off, I said quietly. There's more, Trinity swiped to Twitter. Team Noelle was trending, with fans attacking anyone who questioned her authenticity. Good, Curtis said unexpectedly. We all turned to look at him. The bigger the drama now, the bigger the impact when you perform at the showcase. Speaking of which, he handed me a USB drive. Take this home. Practice with it, but don't upload it anywhere. Don't play it for anyone, not even your best friend. Jasmine chose that moment to call. Your mum's trying to reach me. She's freaking out about the article. What should I tell her? Nothing yet, Curtis interjected. The less people know about our plan, the better. I nodded, texting Mum. Can't talk right now, in the studio. Her response was immediate. Studio? June, please don't make things worse. Noelle is devastated. Another text popped up, this one from an unknown number. Back off now, or we'll make sure you never perform in this city again. Management. I showed it to Curtis, who laughed. They're scared. Good. Trinity grabbed my arm. We've got company. Through the studio's glass doors, I saw Noelle's manager storming down the hallway, Noelle trailing behind him. Out the back, Curtis ordered, pointing to a service exit. Trinity, take her home. I'll handle this. As we slipped out, I heard the manager's voice. Curtis, what the hell? You're working with her sister now? Trinity's car was parked in the alley. We jumped in just as Noelle emerged from the back door. June, she called out, please, can we talk? Trinity gunned the engine. In the rearview mirror, I watched my sister getting smaller, her designer outfit out of place in the grungy alley. You okay? Trinity asked as we merged into traffic. Play the recording, I said, plugging the USB into her car stereo. The new version of Starlight Promises filled the car. Trinity's eyes widened. Holy shit, June. This is going to destroy her. No, I corrected, watching the city lights blur past. This is going to set things right. My phone buzzed one last time. Amelia. Your sister's team is demanding a retraction. I'm standing firm. But heads up, they're going to try to discredit you before the showcase. I typed back, let them try. They don't know what's coming. The showcase was 2 weeks away. Noelle's Madison Square Garden concert was 3 weeks away. One way or another, the truth was finally going to come out. And this time, I'd make sure everyone heard it in my voice. The week before the showcase was chaos. Noelle's team launched their attack exactly as Amelia predicted. Look at this garbage, Jasmine said, tossing a tabloid on my coffee table. The headline screamed, Jealous Sisters Desperate Grab for Fame. It gets worse, Trinity added, scrolling through her phone. They're claiming you're mentally unstable, that you've been obsessed with Noelle's success and trying to take credit for her work. My hand shook as I picked up the tabloid. There was a photo of me from years ago, looking disheveled after a late-night gig. Next to it, a polished shot of Noelle performing on stage. My phone rang. Curtis. Don't read any of it, he said before I could speak. Get to the studio, now. When I arrived, Amelia was there too, pacing with her phone pressed to her ear. No comment means no comment, she snapped, ending the call. Your sister's team is working overtime. They're trying to get the showcase cancelled. Can they do that? I asked Curtis. They're trying, but I've got too much invested in this now. He hit a button, and Starlight Promises filled the room. We're releasing this the morning after the showcase. I've already got radio stations lined up. June, Amelia interrupted, there's something else you need to see. She pulled up a video on her laptop. It was an old recording of me performing at a bar, clearly drunk, messing up the lyrics to one of my songs, one Noelle had since made famous. They're going to release this tomorrow, Amelia said. Make you look unstable, unreliable. That was from the night after Grandma died, I whispered. Noelle was there. She recorded this. She's been planning this longer than we thought, Curtis said grimly. My phone lit up with a text from Mom. Please stop this, June. You're tearing the family apart. Noelle's in tears. She can't even rehearse for her concert. Before I could respond, Trinity burst in. We've got bigger problems. Noelle just announced she's moving her Madison Square Garden concert up. It's now the night before the showcase. What? Curtis stood up. She can't do that. She already did, claiming scheduling conflicts. They're refunding any tickets people can't make. She's going to perform Starlight Promises first, I realized. Make it look like I copied her. The room fell silent. No, Curtis said finally. She won't, because you're performing tonight. What? He was already on his phone. There's an industry party at the Vault. Every major player will be there, including your sister's team. Curtis, Amelia warned, if we show our hand too early. We're not showing anything, he smiled. June's just going to perform some covers. Right, June? I caught on. Right, just some covers. 3 hours later, I stood on the Vault's small stage, looking out at a sea of industry faces. Noelle's manager was by the bar, phone in hand. Perfect. I sat at the piano and began playing, not Starlight Promises, but a medley of famous songs, each one flowing seamlessly into the next. The crowd grew quiet, then started murmuring appreciatively. For the finale, I transformed Taylor Swift's Shake It Off into a haunting ballad, showcasing every bit of musicianship I had. When I finished, the room erupted. That's how you make someone else's song your own, I said into the mic, looking directly at Noelle's manager. No theft required. His face darkened as he got my meaning. Afterward, Curtis was beaming. You just became the talk of the industry. No one can claim you're riding Noelle's coattails now. My phone buzzed. Noelle calling. For the first time in weeks, I answered. What are you doing? She hissed. Performing. You know, that thing I've been doing since before you stole my songs. You have no idea what you're up against. Neither do you, sis. See you at Madison Square Garden. I hung up as Trinity rushed over. June, TMZ is reporting Noelle's having a medical emergency. She's postponing the concert back to its original date. Amelia laughed. She blinked. No, Curtis corrected. She's regrouping. This isn't over. Good, I said, packing up my sheet music, because I'm just getting started. As we left the vault, my phone lit up with another text from Mum. Just saw your performance online. Since when could you play like that? I showed it to Jasmine, who snorted. Since always. Maybe if they'd paid attention before. They're paying attention now, Curtis said. Everyone is. The showcase was still a week away, but tonight had changed everything. Noelle might have the fame, the team, and the Madison Square Garden concert. But I had the truth, and after tonight, I had the industry's ear. Game on, indeed. The day before the showcase, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find Dad standing there, looking uncomfortable in his business suit. Can I come in? He asked quietly. I stepped aside, noticing how he surveyed my apartment, the piano, the recording equipment, the wall of music theory books. Mum doesn't know I'm here, he said, sitting on my couch. I saw your performance at the vault. And I found this. He pulled out an old USB drive. In the attic, while looking for your grandmother's photos. My heart stopped. I recognized that drive. I'd given it to him on his birthday 5 years ago, filled with recordings of my original songs. I listened to it yesterday, he continued, including your original version of Midnight Rain. His voice cracked. The one about Mom. About Grandma, I corrected. No, he shook his head. The lyrics. They're about how Mom fell apart after Grandma died. How you had to be the strong one while Noelle was away at college. I sat down hard. You never listened to it before? I meant to. He looked ashamed. But work, and then Noelle's career took off. My phone buzzed. Curtis calling. I ignored it. Why are you here, Dad? Because I owe you an apology, and because... He hesitated. Because Noelle's team offered to pay you off. They want you to sign an NDA and leave the city. My phone buzzed again, this time Trinity. Emergency. Noelle just announced a press conference, tonight. How much? I asked Dad. $2 million. I laughed bitterly. That's what she thinks my songs are worth? June, he leaned forward. Whatever you're planning tomorrow, are you sure about this? It could destroy your sister's career. The career she built by stealing from me. She's still your sister. Is she? I stood up. Because a sister wouldn't do what she did. A sister wouldn't try to paint me as crazy or unstable. A sister wouldn't... My phone erupted with notifications. I grabbed it, opening Twitter. Noelle was live at her press conference, tears streaming down her face. I need to confess something, she was saying. There's been a lot of speculation about my songs, about their origin. The truth is, I didn't write them alone. Dad watched over my shoulder as Noelle continued. My sister June and I, we used to collaborate, but she became unstable, possessive about our joint work. She threatened to hurt herself if I performed them. That's why I had to distance myself. But the songs, they were always meant to be shared between us. That's a lie, I screamed at the screen. We never collaborated. My phone exploded. Curtis, Trinity, Jasmine, and Amelia all calling at once. I answered Curtis on speaker. Don't react publicly, he ordered. This is good. Good. She's painting me as mentally ill. No, she's admitting she didn't write the songs alone. She's scared, June. Tomorrow, when you perform, the showcase is cancelled. Trinity burst through my door, not bothering to knock. Noelle's team pulled some strings. The venue claims there's a gas leak. Dad stood up. June, Take the deal. Walk away before this gets worse. I looked at him, then at the USB drive he'd brought, physical proof of my original work, then at my phone, still showing Noelle's tearful confession. Curtis, I said calmly, remember how you said you had radio stations lined up? Yeah? Call them, all of them. I'm releasing Starlight Promises tonight. June, Dad started. No, I cut him off. Tell Mom, tell Noelle, tell everyone, I'm done being silenced. I sat at my piano, connecting it to my recording equipment. Trinity was already on her phone, live streaming. Dad sank back onto the couch, looking defeated. What are you doing? He asked, showing the world what a real collaboration looks like. I positioned my phone to show the USB drive he'd brought. This is dated 5 years ago. Let's play it next to Noelle's version. Curtis's voice came through the speaker. You're live on WNYC in 5, 4, 3. I began to play, my voice stronger than ever. In my peripheral vision, I saw Dad's eyes widen as he heard the original version of the song his eldest daughter had made famous. My phone lit up with a text from Noelle. Stop this now, please. I ignored it, launching into the new version of Starlight Promises, the one she hadn't stolen yet. Tomorrow's showcase might be cancelled, but tonight, the whole city was listening. And this time, they were hearing my voice, my truth, my songs, the way they were always meant to be heard. The morning after my broadcast, Madison Square Garden announced that Noelle's concert was cancelled due to unforeseen circumstances. But that didn't stop the media circus from gathering outside the venue. Ready? Jasmine asked as our Uber pulled up to the crowd. I nodded, clutching the folder of original sheet music. Curtis had insisted on this confrontation, saying we needed to control the narrative. Camera flashes exploded as I stepped out. Noelle's manager stood at the entrance, looking furious. You can't be here, he snapped. Actually, Curtis appeared beside me. We have every right to be here, since June's name is on the original copyright registrations. Amelia pushed through the crowd with her press badge. June, how do you respond to your sister's claims about collaboration? Before I could answer, the crowd parted. Noelle emerged from her SUV, looking perfectly put together despite everything. Our parents trailed behind her. June, she said, her voice carrying in the sudden silence. Haven't you done enough? That's rich, coming from you. I opened the folder, pulling out the sheets. Want to explain these? Original compositions, dated and notarized, years before you claimed to write them. We worked on those together. Stop lying, my voice echoed across the plaza. You want to do this here? Fine. Play it. What? I pointed to the baby grand piano in the venue's lobby, visible through the glass doors. Play Starlight Promises, the version you're supposed to perform tonight, right now. I'm not warmed up. You can't play it because you never wrote it, I challenged. You can sing it after practicing for weeks, but you can't play it because you don't understand the music theory behind it. The key changes, the complex chord progressions, they're all beyond you. Mom stepped forward. June, stop this. Why are you trying to hurt your sister? Why don't you ask her about the night she copied my files, or the video she took of me grieving for Grandma, just to use against me later? Noelle's face crumpled. I never meant... You were wasting your talent in those tiny venues. I knew I could make these songs reach people. They weren't yours to take. Ladies, Curtis interrupted smoothly, why don't we take this inside? The next hour was a blur of lawyers, managers, and accusations. We sat in what should have been Noelle's dressing room, the tension thick enough to cut. Here's what's going to happen, Curtis said finally. June gets full credit for all previous songs. Royalties will be adjusted accordingly. Noelle, you'll make a public statement admitting the truth. That'll destroy her career, Mom protested. She destroyed it herself, Dad said quietly. Everyone turned to look at him. I heard the original recordings. There's no question who wrote those songs. Noelle burst into tears. I wanted what June had. The talent, the passion. Music came so easily to her, and I was always just the pretty one. So you stole from me, your own sister. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. Curtis cleared his throat. There's one way to salvage this. The truth, but with a spin. Sisters torn apart by industry pressure, coming together for an honest collaboration. June performs tonight, introduces Noelle for one song, a real duet. Show the world what actual sisterly collaboration looks like. No way, Jasmine started, but I held up my hand. One condition, I said. We play Midnight Rain, the original version, the one about Mom and Grandma. No pop arrangement, no fancy production, just us and the piano. Noelle looked up, mascara streaking her cheeks. Like we used to sing in the living room. Before you decided my songs were more valuable than our relationship. Yeah. The lawyers huddled, papers were signed, and social media exploded with the announcement of a special intimate performance by both Warner sisters. That night, under the bright lights of Madison Square Garden, I sat at the piano and told our story, the real story. Then I played every song Noelle had stolen, reclaiming each one. Finally, I called her out. She walked on stage, smaller somehow, without her usual production. We locked eyes as I played the opening notes of Midnight Rain. For a moment, as our voices blended on the chorus, I saw my sister again, not the star who stole my work, but the girl who used to harmonize with me at family gatherings. I wrote this, I said into the mic after we finished, for our mom, who lost her mother, and for my sister, who lost her way. Sometimes the hardest songs are the ones about forgiveness. The audience erupted. In the front row, Mom was crying. Dad held her hand, nodding at me with pride. Noelle turned to the crowd. My sister wrote all the songs you've heard me perform. I stole them, and I'm sorry. But tonight was our first real collaboration. As the applause washed over us, I realized this wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about truth, redemption, and maybe, just maybe, finding our way back to being sisters again. The morning sun streamed through Curtis's studio windows as I finished recording the last track of my album. Jasmine and Trinity gave me thumbs up from behind the glass. That's a wrap, Curtis announced, sliding his chair back. Album's done. I removed my headphones, still buzzing from the session. My phone lit up with a message from Amelia. Billboard just posted the interview. You might want to see this. I pulled up the article on my laptop, Trinity and Jasmine reading over my shoulders. The headline read, Noelle opens up about music industry, pressures and sisterly redemption. I lost myself, Noelle had told the interviewer. The industry demands perfection, hits, constant content. When I found June's songs, I convinced myself I was doing us both a favor. I was wrong. Speaking of your sister, the interviewer had asked, her debut album drops next week. Any thoughts? I've heard it. It's beautiful, honest, raw. Everything my versions tried to be but couldn't, because they weren't mine to sing. Curtis cleared his throat. Speaking of the album release, no, I cut him off, smiling. No big release party, no Madison Square Garden, just that small venue we talked about. The coffee shop where it all started, Trinity grinned. Perfect. My phone buzzed again. Noelle calling. I answered on speaker. Hey, she said softly. I just heard the final mix you sent. Sister's Keeper is... It's incredible. Thanks. I'd written it during the aftermath of our confrontation, trying to make sense of everything. Listen, she continued, I know I'm probably the last person you want there, but... Could I come to the release show? I caught Jasmine's warning look, but something in Noelle's voice made me pause. Actually, I said, I was thinking maybe we could perform Midnight Rain again, if you want. The silence stretched for a moment. Really? Her voice cracked. After everything. You're still my sister. Besides, I looked at Curtis, who nodded approvingly. The song's about family, even when it's complicated. The night of the album release, the coffee shop was packed. Industry executives mingled with regular customers. Mom and Dad sat in the front row, holding hands like teenagers. I played through the new songs, each one telling part of our story. When I got to Sister's Keeper, I saw Noelle in the back, wiping her eyes. For my final song, I announced, I'd like to invite my sister up here. Noelle? She walked through the crowd, looking different than she had during her pop star days. Simpler, more real. Before we sing, she said into the mic, I want everyone to know something. My sister didn't just write beautiful songs. She taught me what real strength looks like, not by stealing or lying, but by fighting for your truth. We performed Midnight Rain, like we had at Madison Square Garden, but this time felt different, more honest. When we finished, the applause wasn't thunderous like in an arena, but it was genuine. After the show, as people mingled and Curtis talked to reporters, Noelle handed me an envelope. What's this? Open it. Inside was a check for exactly half of everything she'd earned from my songs. I know it doesn't fix things, she said quickly, but it's a start. Keep it, I pushed it back. Use it to start over. Make your own music this time. I'm not sure I know how anymore. Then learn, like I did, in places like this. I gestured to the coffee shop. No pressure, no shortcuts, just you and the music. Curtis approached with a woman I recognized as a major label executive. Ladies, he said, how would you feel about a joint project? Something documenting your journey. Real collaboration this time. Noelle looked at me uncertainly. Only if June wants to. I thought about all the nights I'd spent angry, plotting revenge, about the little sister who used to sing harmony in our bedroom, about forgiveness and second chances. Maybe, I said, but first, Noelle needs to find her own voice. I'd like that, she smiled. Maybe you could help me. Mom appeared with 2 cups of chai, our favorite since childhood. My girls, she said, handing us the cups, making music together again. I took a sip, remembering all the times we'd shared chai and secrets. Some things were broken, yes, but maybe, like the songs we sang, they could be remade into something new. To new beginnings, Noelle raised her cup. To truth, I touched my cup to hers. And to making our own music. Around us, people celebrated the album release, but in that moment, it was just 2 sisters, 2 cups of chai, and the possibility of harmony yet to come.